Chapter 252. The first place could sign an endorsement contract and get an annual salary of 1 million. The second and third place could go home with the bonus, and the event would be over. If it was decided internally, they could just find 3 people. Why would they need to spend the event planning and advertising fees? Of course, Xiaoqun knew that Yu Xiaochuan was looking for the lady of Xianin. Lin Ke also saw the advertisement on TV. She secretly sent the registration information and waited for the unified organization to organize a physical examination. In Lin's eyes, this was a great opportunity. Even if she couldn't get first place, the second and third place would get 300,000 and 100,000 respectively. If Lin got it, it would relieve the pressure of her family. After signing up, Lin Ke waited patiently. However, what surprised her was that Xiao Qin and Tang Tang didn't come to the morning market to set up their stalls. Where did they go? Lin called Tang Tang's phone, but it was turned off. She wanted to call Xiao Qin, but she didn't have the courage. She could only look at Xiao Qin and Tang Tang's booth every morning to see if there was anyone. The news of the competition was just announced yesterday. Today he received thousands of registration letters on the website and in physical mail. Red Hair reported it to Yu Xiaochuan, which made him very surprised. How many girls could there be in a school? However, on the first day of registration there were already thousands. Yu Xiaochuan didn't believe that he couldn't find the lady of Xianin. Anyway, he could continue to hold events and expand the scope of registration. The cost of a spokesperson was only 1 million. Including the awards, it wasn't much. In order to find the lady of Xianin, Yu Xiaochuan was willing to invest any amount of money. Good, very good. The first batch of registration will be limited to 10,000. Then, you take them to do a physical examination. If there is a blood match, then stop the registration and select 1, 2, and 3. If there is no match, then continue. Yu Xiaochuan ordered. Okay, young Master Kun. Red Hair quickly responded, what about the second and third place? What's the evaluation standard? That is up to you. Yu Xiaochuan didn't care about the second and third place. Okay, young Master Kun. Don't worry, I will definitely do it well. Red Hair quickly said. What Red Fur didn't expect was that the number of registrations on the first day had reached the 10,000 mark. Red Fur immediately stopped the registrations and got his subordinates to inform these 10,000 people to gather for a physical examination tomorrow. Of course, Red Hair had already contacted the hospital where the physical examination would be conducted. He had also informed them that everyone would only be tested on their blood tomorrow and nothing else. He had heard about the recent dispute between the Sun family and the Xie family. The Sun family was prospering. Wanted to refute if medicine master Sun didn't come here to cure his poison, then it was completely useless for Tang Tang to argue with man Xiao. I guess Yu Xiaochuan will start to represent the Sun family to surrender. Tang shrugged and said helplessly, medicine master Sun's expression suddenly turned serious. To let me go back to the Tang family. He cupped his fist and said, I don't want to go back. Old man Xiao, I'll help you think of a way. I hope that the Xiao family can save the Sun family. Xiaochuan also knew that the only way he could think of was to delay the time for you. If the Tang family and the Yu family really wanted to get engaged, it could only be delayed for a while. He didn't know why medicine master Sun would make such a move. He still didn't know that the Xiao family had already been removed from the list of suppliers in the Warriors Market. But she didn't say it in this kind of news. The Xiao family usually had to wait for a day or two before they could find out. Although she vaguely felt that Xiao might have a little idea didn't have anyone to specifically inquire about the news. Neither of them pointed it out. Xiao was too busy with his own matters. She didn't point it out before, so now it was even more inappropriate to say anything. Medicine master Sun didn't hide anything. Moreover, Tang Tang was also afraid that if she said how he had recently offended Qin Jinping, or he would not refuse to take care of her face. Your Sun family is difficult for Xiao Chen. Xiao Yuan after all, in Tang Tang's view, the person Xiao Chen liked was always indeed a little too complacent. No matter whether Xiao Chen admitted it or not, he worked as a servant for Qin promoted every day was enough to prove his point. Yet they still went to provoke Qian's self-reliant income. He didn't have to look at Qin Minjing's face at all. This matter can only be blamed on that sometimes it was not possible to elope medicine master Sun's side and said helplessly. Let's not talk about whether Xiao Chen could leave or not. What does it have to do with Xiao Chen? Even if he left, Xiao Yuan family and the Tang family were not to be trifled with. How did Xiao Chen get involved? Outside of Songning City, the one who had a conflict with our Sun family was Xiao Chen and the Tang family. Qin Jinping was only helping Xiao Chen, the boss, and that's why we became enemies. Then Tang Tang and Xiao Chen would really told him about how Xiao Chen was humiliated and how Qin Jinping stood up for him. He didn't expect that a good thing would bring so many negative still effects. Working as Xiao Chen's underling. Detoxifying Tang Xiao Yuanshan was a little shocked after listening. Was there something wrong with Qin Jinping's brain? This was really a contradictory problem. Xiao Chen was already chased out of the family, yet he still went to work as an underling to sell fried dough sticks. How retarded would he be? Tang Tang couldn't help but ask after school. The most infuriating thing is that Xiao Yuliang from the Qiao family also joined in and helped Xiao Chen. Nodded, and medicine master Sun was very depressed. She knew that the days were level 6 inner strength every day that from our Sun's 1 day less. She would cherish these last days with Xiao Chen very much. Like he was listening to a book from heaven. Tang also it was fine that Qin Jinping was out of his mind, aristocratic but families were all like Xiao Chen used to be sworn enemies. They were all marriage tools in the hands of the family. Why did he help Xiao Chen? Tang knew that she could not resist in any way. If he didn't know that Medicine Master's son wouldn't joke about the Sun family's life and death, he would have thought that Medicine Master's son was talking nonsense. The aristocratic families retained the old custom of valuing men over women. Xiao Hai to find out tomorrow. In order to avoid arousing suspicion, Xiao Yuanshan rarely asked Xiao Hai to ask about Xiao Chen. Felt that he was spending money like Xiao Chen was currently living okay, he had enough money, but it was a bit hard. Herbs. He was a servant just didn't know where to get spiritual without a salary, which seemed to be very morning rare. He would go to the morning market for a while. A red Land Rover stopped beside, but he didn't know what relationship he had with Qin Jinping and Xiao Chen. Turned his head and saw that it was really strange. Are you crazy? Old man Xiao, we had a good relationship in the past. Xiao Chen glared at him. Even when Xiao Chen was a child, I also saw that he couldn't practice martial arts. So I didn't suggest the Sun family to go against Xiao Chen. I heard that you're very powerful recently. I just asked the Sun family to take revenge on Qin Jinping. Xiao Chen got in the car. Who knew that this would happen? Although there was no one nearby, Medicine Master's son said as if he was very caring for the Xiao family. He couldn't detect anyone nearby. But this time Xiao Yuanshan really believed it. Don't look for me if there's nothing. With the Sun family text me if there's anything. They might not be able to touch Qin Jinping and Xiao Yuliang. Qi Zhigao nodded quickly. But if they wanted to touch Xiao Chen, Xiao Chen wouldn't be able to hide for even a day. Impatiently. Facing a giant like the Sun family, Xiao Chen was brother-in-law. One person was too small. And told Xiao Chen about the Sun family's marriage proposal and his family's plan to let his brother Qi Ziyuan be the heir of the young master because he was wiped out by his weak grandson. Oh, I can't help you with the first thing. Thank you, Medicine Master, son, for giving me face. Although I'm her brother, I can't interfere with the family. I don't want him to die. Xiao Chen listened and said, secondly, you don't have to worry about Qin Xiaojiao. Medicine Master's son thought to himself. As for the Xiao family, if he died, there would be no one left in the Xiao family. I know, the moment Big Brother reveals his identity, that's when the Xiao family will rise. Dealing with him was a piece of cake. Qing family are all he could kill him in minutes. It was better to take over the Xiao family first. Qing Menjing is quite good. Medicine Master was more protective of the young miss. Our Sun family is at a dead end. Is a good person. We're ready to rely on the Xiao family. That he said something wrong. If Elder Xiao accepts us, then you will be our master. That idiot Xiao Chen will be our young master. My woman. Our Sun family is a dependent family, all right, so we can't be disrespectful to him. Xiao Chen asked. We'll talk about Xiao Chen later. It's about this matter. You mean you want to rely on the Xiao family? So I'm trying to find some self-confidence from my big brother. Although the Sun family was at a dead end, how much courage would it take to rely on someone else? All right, I'm leaving. After all, text me if you need anything. The Sun family didn't offend the Chen family with the speed at which the Sun family accumulated strength, said Qi Zhigao. They would quickly enter the ranks of the aristocratic families. Only in the next aristocratic family selection, they might even replace. There was also a middle-aged old man with white hair and a youthful complexion. It depended on whether Qin Jinping was dressed in a medicinal robe and seemed to be a very powerful doctor or pharmacist. Could get it. If Lin Xiao was so powerful, why would he not know the identity of this old man? Nothing happened that night. He only said, "It was no surprise that Xiao Chen didn't last time." The next morning, Xiao Chen went to see Tang Tang and went to Xiao Chen and blinked at him with her large, electrifying eyes. But Xiao Chen suddenly found that Tang Yan's body seemed to be a little swollen. I didn't expect you to show up. A lot of water had been poured under her skin. Xiao Chen was slightly taken aback. This made Xiao Chen a little worried. That prescription was it you who wanted it? What's going on? Why does Tang Tang look like a middle-aged old man next to Hongzhu suddenly asked quickly? Xiao Chen did not expect him to ask such a question. She should wake up in a while and go to the toilet to detoxify. This matter to this old man. Elder Heaven Ancestor should be on the same side as Hongzhu. The toxins in her body are more than I thought. Otherwise, Xiao Chen did not think that Hongzhu would be so stupid as to tell anyone. I still have to postpone it. Xiao Chen did not deny it. When will she wake up? Are you a demonic cultivator? Even if it's delayed, it won't be long. More or less. She will wake up in a few hours. Ambiguously. Elder Heaven Ancestor said. This prescription, did your sect give it to you? Or, I wanted to wait for her to wake up and looked at Xiao Chen. But she needs to go to the toilet as soon as she wakes up. Xiao Chen said. How awkward would she be if I'm here? It doesn't matter. Xiao Chen knew very well how smelly the toxins in his body were. Can I grab a copy of this prescription of yours and take it back to study? Might not be able to knock people out. Xiao Chen was a little surprised to hear this old man's words. So, although this prescription was his, so that Tang Tang wouldn't be so embarrassed. If this old man wanted to study it, there was no need for him to tell Xiao Chen anything. At the same time, he could have just secretly grabbed a copy and studied it. Red Hair organized the contestants to go to the hospital for a physical examination in the morning. The old man said, "As for Kerlin, she also secretly went to participate in the physical examination. Although I know about this prescription, it is yours. There weren't many people. As a doctor, protecting one's privacy is a part of one's professional ethics. Land Rover rushed toward him. If you don't agree, I won't study it." Xiao Chen was stunned. This is the rhythm of wanting to kill me. He did not expect this old man to be such an upright person. The Land Rover behind him screeched to a stop behind Xiao Chen. Refuse. Obviously, however, this person's purpose wasn't to kill Xiao Chen, he would not be able to find out anything. Qi Zhigao jumped out of the car. Okay, then I won't be polite. He didn't expect Xiao Chen to dodge so quickly. However, I won't. Your reaction is so you can rest assured. Is it because you have been beaten up too much recently that your dodging skills have improved? He did not expect Lu Fangzhen to say that. Xiao Chen was stunned. In fact, he was not afraid of studying. He didn't see Xiao Xiao. If he was afraid of being exposed, he would have gone to many pharmacies to buy it in batches. For a while. After all, the effect of this prescription had to be used in conjunction with the mental cultivation method. Whose father did you say you are? Moreover, a hint of violence flashed in Xiao Chen's eyes. For the time and temperature of the decoction. Xiao Chen couldn't help but have the urge to kill Qi Zhigao. As for the treatment and detoxification, that was an additional effect. You even called me brother Xiao. The dregs had to be used more than 3 times in order to treat the disease and detoxify it. He would have the urge to kill. If the dregs were used the first 3 times, the disease would worsen and the worst case would be death. I can't. Therefore, Xiao Chen was not particularly worried. How can I talk nonsense? He was just a little curious about the identity of the old man in front of him. Whose brother-in-law are you? Could it be that he was similar to Grandpa Chen? I don't have a brother-in-law like you. That was Hong Yan's teacher. Xiao Chen shook his head and snorted coldly. Was this Hong Zhu's teacher? Brother, I was wrong before. Xiao Chen thought that Grandpa Chen was Hong Yan's biological grandfather. Brother Xiao, but the two had different surnames. How did you suddenly have the strength of the peak of the 5th stage of Yan's teacher? What's going on? I'm a little confused. Qi Zhigao said while lying on the ground couldn't help but be moved. Nothing. In the past, the Xiao family was very respectful to Medicine Master Sun Xiao Chen couldn't answer clearly. Medicine Master Sun would not say much. Xiao Chen didn't want to tell anyone about the elder and didn't even bother to pay attention to Xiao Chen. At least not for the time being. But now, don't worry. A powerful pharmacist who was even more powerful than Medicine Master Sun. By the way, Brother Xiao, who even the warrior's market had to deliberately hidden your strength, was talking and laughing in front of Xiao Chen. They drove you out to investigate the disappearance of my uncle. This made Xiao Chen sigh. Life was really unpredictable. Is your uncle. The Xie family's flattery, Medicine Master Lu's favor, brother-in-law, and Jean Beibei's friendship were things that Xiao Chen dared not think about in the past. If he had any of them, he would not be called a loser anymore. Expect that although everyone had their own playboy, his brain was very sharp. Could not cultivate, he actually found out that there was something wrong with his father's disappearance. No one would look down on him anymore. Qi Zhigao not only would they not look down on him, but they would also be envious. But now, the Xie family, which the Xiao family originally wanted to flatter, Qi Zhigao flattered Xiao Chen. She doesn't so you don't have to worry. Xiao Chen said. I'm on the same side as she little still doesn't know that her brother is a shining figure. I'm very puzzled. She knew she would definitely. How did you make them all die from horsewind? Qi Zhigao said. Did you drug them? No, Brother Xiao. No, I did something to his Shinshui acupoint. I just know that there is a specific method I can't tell you. So it turns out that my big brother is the legendary existence of the younger generation. Anyway, the other party had already guessed it, so there was no point in endured humiliation to clear his father's name. LV Fangzhen nodded in understanding. Went to the guardian goddess and flirted with girls in secret. His eyes became bright and full of expression. So cool, so awesome, so awesome. Something wrong with the Shinshui acupoint was a little cause horsewind to break out. But from Qi Zhigao's point of view, did something to the premeditated and not a fortuitous encounter, I'm afraid your medical knowledge was really amazing, right? How scheming did he have to be to do such a thing? I know I'm right. Xiao Chen couldn't help but smile bitterly. Tacitly agreed. What kind of pharmacist am I? I won't say anything. The soul immortal in me looks down on pharmacists. Qi Zhigao crawled up from the ground and gave the car key to Xiao Chen. Big brother, how can you not have a car if you're so awesome? Xiao Chen took a deep breath. He was neither happy nor sad. Qin Jinping gave them to me. He knew that although the road he was walking now seemed smooth, it was full of profile. Tang Tang is keeping a low profile now, so I'm not to give up. If you need anything, just take them all into his room. I'm definitely your best lackey. The current Xiao Chen. Even the previous Xiao Chen could not do it. nodded and motioned that Qi Zhigao was not as powerful as the Shin family. This guy could still be trusted. Even if the Shin family really wanted to pursue Xiao Xiao, the children of the Shin family might not dare to say that they could let women of the same family serve with others. Moreover, some bold ones such as Xiao Chen found that he really dared to think. Beauty, are you a transfer student? When he had just been kicked out of the family, even when he had just become a cultivator, Xiao Chen did not dare to think about these things. At the moment, but now Xiao Chen actually had such thoughts. Tang Tang's cousin, his head. Why did she suddenly come to the class to join in the fun? Even the person in front of him was the same as the someone that the current Xiao Chen saw in Tang Tang's home. Now that his identity was exposed, but why did Xiao Chen feel that she was silly? The Xie family's flattery and the Jin family's support, even if she pretended to be Tang Tang, people would still believe the Yu family submit. She was exposed, after all, she still didn't Master Tang and old Master Yu were not to be trifled with. Was she Moreover, most of Xiao Chen's current abilities were based on the unknown. How dare you flirt with your sister LV Fangzhen treated him like this only because of the abilities that Xiao Chen had displayed, and then said to Lu Zhenming, once this ability was not enough to make others fear him, brother, would they still treat him like this? Lu Zhenming was stunned. Xiao Chen was not sure, and he did not dare to take the risk. Her tone and voice were a bit like Tang Tang, and the white fox in the Warriors Guild did not have much interaction. Don't make trouble. It would
go
be
out, I have
extremely
to go to
difficult to
class.
investigate this
Teacher
matter.
Chin said helplessly.
He could only wait for news from
was about to
Xinjiang.
collapse.
If I am
What
not
the hell
here,
was going
ask
on?
little Hongzhu
When
to
she woke
inform
up,
me, and I
it
will
seemed
appear.
that everyone
LV
around her
Fang,
didn't know
said.
her.
Why
Was
does
it really
sound
like
those
Aladdin's
horror
magic
novels
lamp?
When she
Xiao
woke
Chen
up,
said.
everyone around her
It's
was
about
still
time.
there, but she
I
had
will be
traveled
here in a
through time.
whoosh.
And
LV
traveled
Fang
to a
said.
parallel world where there was
Xiao
also
Chen
a
felt that this
Tang,
person
but
was
it was
a little
not
crazy,
her.
so he left.
Xiao Chen, after
Others
leaving
may
the
not know
pharmacy,
me, but don't you know me?
reached home,
He
he
received
received
a
a
call
call
from
from
Teacher
Teacher
Jinping.
anymore.
Boss
She
Xiao
quickly
Chen, it's
ran
me,
to Xiao
Jinping.
Chen, stared at
Qin
Xiao Chen
Jinping
and said, "Look who
a
I
little
am.
shed. What's
Aren't
up?
you Tang's
Xiao Chen
cousin?"
guessed that there was an
80%
80% chance that there was news
Others
about
may
the
not know you,
spiritual
but I
jade.
definitely know
Sure
you.
enough, Qin
I have seen
Jinping
your
said,
photo in
Lin
Tang's
Chao has
home.
agreed to the bet
Did
with
she
the
tell you?
ancient jade, and he has brought the
I am
ancient
Tang.
jade. So tomorrow afternoon
anxious.
we will have a
What
race at the
cousin?
Maliwan construction
Where did I come
site.
from?
2
Xiao
wins
Chen
out of
stopped
3,
joking.
how about that?
Of
Of
course,
course, so
3
anxious
wins out
that
of
she
5
didn't
is
remember
fine as
that
well,
she had lied
but
to
it
Xiao
depends on
Chen's
boss
cousin
Xiao
before.
Chen.
She just wanted to
okay,
prove that
let's
she was
talk about
Tang
it
Tang.
then.
Xiao Chen
Tang
said
Tang
faintly,
doesn't look like
if the
this.
ancient jade is not
Xiao
good,
Chen took out
let
his
alone
mobile
3,
phone,
you
opened
won't
a
even
photo
have
of
one.
himself and Tang Tang,
Don't worry.
and handed it
I
to
have brought
Tang
a few
Tang's
pieces
cousin
of
in front
ancient
of him.
jade.
Look,
I
this is
guarantee
Tang
that you will
Tang.
be satisfied. It's me. Qin
Tang
Jinping
Tang
laughed.
said anxiously.
Xiao Chen was really speechless.
He had wanted to pursue Tang Tang's cousin
Cheng
before.
Minjing always felt
It turned out
obedient.
that the person in
At
front of
night,
him was not
after
very
Xiao
smart.
Chen took the medicine,
Take a
he
selfie
began
and
to
see
train.
what you look like.
However, what
you
made
look like
Xiao Chen
this?
a little helpless was
Tang
that
Tang
although the
picked up the
jade
phone
ring
with
could
some
provide
doubts.
spiritual energy
She
for
opened the
training,
camera and
the
turned on the
spiritual
front
energy
camera.
was too little
She was
and
a
could
little
not be
shocked
compared
at
to
first
before.
glance.
Therefore,
She
he
widened
could not
her eyes
increase
and
his
looked at
speed.
the character in the
That
phone
night, Xiao
incredulously.
Chen felt that he was getting closer and closer to that level.
Tang
However, he
Tang
was still a
screamed in
little bit
fear.
away from it.
Of course,
He was
fear
only
was
a little
one
bit
thing,
away from
but
making
there was
a
also
breakthrough,
excitement
and
in
he had
his
even
voice.
touched the edge.
However,
Actually
he
lost
just
weight.
could not make a breakthrough
Did I turn
in one
back
go.
into my
Putting
16-year-old
away the
self?
mental cultivation
What was going
method,
on?
Xiao Chen was a
Am I
little
dreaming?
mad, but there was
However,
nothing
that
he
was
could do.
clearly not the case.
After washing up,
How could there be
Xiao
such
Chen
a
ran in the
realistic
direction
dream?
of the morning market
Furthermore,
street.
he had gone to the
Maybe
toilet
tomorrow
for several
or
hours.
maybe the day after tomorrow,
Since Tang Tang
his
became
days in the
fat,
morning market
although she
street
still
would come
looked
to an
very
end.
cheerful, she
Tang
rarely
Tang
went to the
came
mirror,
very early as
especially in
usual.
her home. There
She
was
was
no
packing
mirror.
things in the grocery
After all,
store.
girls cared
It
about
had been
their
a few
appearance.
days since she opened
This
the
morning,
store.
Tang Tang was
Everything
in a
had to be
daze.
prepared again.
She hadn't eaten for days
Xiao Chen
and went to
here.
the toilet for so long.
Tang Tang's eyes
Her
were a
stomach
little
was
dark
already
and
empty,
bloodshot,
so
as
she
if she
didn't
had not
notice the
slept for a
changes
few
in her
days.
body.
And
But
what's
now
wrong
she
with
suddenly
you?
thought about it.
Didn't you rest
What
well
was
yesterday?
it that she had excreted in
Xiao
the
Chen
morning?
asked with concern.
Basically,
It was
last night,
excreting
my
nonstop
grandfather
for 2
called
to
me
3
and asked me
hours.
to be with you.
How
Xiao
much
Chen.
waste was there?
Tang Tang was a little depressed. Her clothes might not have shrunk, but she had become thinner. We can't sell fried dough sticks anymore in the future. Easier for her to get
Even
on the
if
bus.
I want to use
The
Xiao Chen
perverted
won't
man
agree.
looked at her lecherously.
Really?
I
And
think
it was
he will
also
agree.
because she had turned into
Xiao
her
Chen took a
previous
deep
self.
breath and thought of an idea. Did I change
Anyway,
back?
he would drag it
Did
as
he
long
really
as he
change
could.
back?
Tang
going
Tang
to
was so
blackmail him
excited.
again?
In fact, she had
Forget
always
it.
dreamed of
My
changing
grandfather
back,
has already
but she
come
thought it
forward.
was impossible
If you
before.
blackmail him
But
again,
suddenly
if
it
the
became
Tang
a
family
reality.
and the Yu family joined
Tang Tang
forces to
felt
deal
so
with
happy.
you. Then,
Looking at Tang
speaking
Tang's
of
crazy
this, Tang
look,
Tang couldn't
Xiao
help
Chen
but
was a
be a
little
little
dumbfounded.
Don't worry.
The whole class was
I will
also
find
a
a
little
balance.
dumbfounded.
Xiao Chen
Teacher
said.
Chen smiled
That's
bitterly and
good.
thought, is this
Tang
person
Tang
a
nodded.
psychopath?
The two people
Yeah,
packed
she
the
is so
things.
beautiful. Tang
What a
Tang
pity.
sat behind the tricycle,
Cousin
and Xiao
Xiao
Chen
Chen
rode
what
to
are
the
you
morning
doing?
market street.
Xiao Chen looked at the happy Tang Tang and asked. Xiao Chen, I'm Tang Tang. Chapter
Tang Tang
265.
pointed to herself.
Kerlin didn't expect that she would actually
Did
get
you forget that we went to the morning market
bonus.
to sell fried dough sticks
Moreover,
every
it was
day?
very inexplicable.
Did you forget that I was
in the
sick
end,
and you
the
went to
IMA
my house to take care of me?
hastily
Did you forget
announced
that
the
I have
results
to
of the
introduce my
competition.
cousin to you? After giving
I
her
didn't
the
forget.
bonus, there
But
was no follow-up.
When Xiao Chen said
However,
this, he
this
was
also
slightly
good.
surprised.
Maybe the third
Previously,
place was
he
somewhat
only
unwilling.
noticed the appearance
In
of the
addition to the
beautiful girl
bonus,
in front
there
of
was
him.
no
At
reputation
this
at all.
moment, listening
But
to
for
her voice
Kerlin,
carefully,
she was very happy.
it seemed to be Tang
She got the
Tang's.
bonus quietly,
Others might not
and she
be able
didn't
to
have to
judge
delay
it,
her
but the
studies to
sixth
be a
senses of a
spokesperson.
cultivator were
It
quite
was simply
sharp.
great.
This voice
However,
should be
when
Tang
the bonus
Tang's.
was taken home,
Xiao
Xiaochen looked at Lin very carefully again. Lin Dongliang, the person in front of him, was much told her that if there was anything in the future, looked like she should tell the family in advance. Are you really Tang Tang? Who knew if this kind of competition was real or fake? What if there was danger? Tang Tang nodded quickly. Why would I lie to you? Anyway, she would only let me show you my ID card. How could there be such a good thing all the time? She took out her ID card from her wallet and handed it to Xiao since she was a child. This was her previous photo. She had accumulated too much bad luck. She rarely used her ID card. It wasn't easy for it to break out. Otherwise, people would be surprised. But it was estimated that it would only happen once. Xiaochen glanced at Tang Tang's ID was deposited in the bank by Lin Dongliang. In front of him was Tang Tang. He said that he would save the money for Tang's dowry in the future. Are you still had to continue his daily life? Tang 300,000 yuan was not enough to change the living conditions of a family. Jumped for no reason. Early this morning, if Tang Tang was her cousin, family then what did Tang Tang's words mean that day? She subconsciously glanced at Xiaochen was not very sensitive to emotional matters, but she saw a familiar figure. He roughly understood Tang Tang's mind. But as for why Tang Tang was so busy with him, Xiaochen thought that maybe it was because of his potion. And the pressure on Mother Lin's skin suddenly wasn't it already swollen? She suddenly said angrily, estimated that it was the venom made of toxins. What are you doing? After the venom was discharged, Tang returned to her original appearance. Kerlin quickly continued to push and expect that his potion could also have the effect of losing weight. What are you looking at? However, he was afraid that this was only applicable to Tang. In the future, you can shoot commercials and be a big star. People who didn't become fat because of poison with these poor people, it would be impossible to solve the problem. Mother Lin said. Mom, didn't we agree not to talk about this outside? Xiao Chen breathed a sigh of relief and hurriedly said. Then he said, yeah, don't show off your wealth. This person is Tang. Why do you keep mentioning this? I have confirmed that she was sick before and lost weight, becoming a star. She used to look like this. The entertainment industry is very complicated. You can look at her ID card. Is it something a little girl with no background like Teacher Chen was also very surprised after listening. All right, she came over and looked at Tang interacting more with your classmates. Sure enough, she confirmed that this person was really Tang. Mother Lin said helplessly. She suddenly felt a little embarrassed. After the noodle stall in Lin Ker's house was set up, I thought you were went to look for Xiao Chen. It doesn't matter. She wanted to ask Xiao Chen. This stall used to belong to Tang. Shook her head with a smile. Why did he chase Tang away and replace her with a beautiful older sister? Began to be shocked. How could he be so ungrateful? Is this person really Tang? Xiao Chen, did you drive her away? Tang is so beautiful. Although everyone heard that Tang used to be very beautiful and was a campus belle that was in junior high school. The person on it was really Tang. After the senior high school face turned green all of a sudden. Few people knew Tang. This Tang. However, they still heard the legend, but it was just a legend. She actually did this kind of thing for Xiao Chen. The angle of the photo was obviously a selfie. It turned out that the legend was true. So Xiao Chen directly believed it. These people were a little regretful. What he didn't know was that this was just an illusion arranged by Xiao Chen. Alas, it was said that every fat person was a potential stock. 100 million is too much. Although Tang was a fat woman, she was also a fat person. Confirmed that Xiao Chen really had a photo. Tang was not beautiful before. Would you Xiao Chen like Tang? What do you think? What was Xiao Chen's identity? It was really too late to regret Xiao Chen with some contempt. Now, it seemed that the person who had the best relationship with Tang was Xiao Chen. If I don't admit it, Xiao Chen would be the first to get the benefits. When I say this moment, Jing Xiaoquan also turned around and looked at Tang and began to act shamelessly. He had always liked Tang, and there is one more thing I was even more shocked. I have to give Tang regular treatment. The distance between him and Tang was getting farther and become fat again. Now, don't you see that she's a little fatter today than yesterday? Catch up with Tang. Xiao Chen said lightly. It was not that Tang take her back, but you may become fat again after a while. Jing Xiaoquan looked further. That's impossible, the engagement between Tang and Yu Xiaoquan had not been officially dissolved. In the end, if Xiao Chen went back to look at Tang, then he and Xiao Chen would have no chance. It seemed that Tang was a little fat. Xiao Chen was in this way he had to believe Xiao Chen's words. Well, don't be surprised. It seemed that Xiao Chen didn't lie. Tang just lost a little weight. Whether I am lying or not, let's start the class. Can't you see for yourself? Although Teacher Chen was also shocked about Tang and said lightly, the main task at the moment was set up to teach the class. She did not want to delay the teaching because of this matter. Then the students gathered their thoughts and prepared for the class. He had issued a few quests that were all accepted by White Fox, so Yu Xiaoquan wanted to give this quest to White Fox. Xiao Chen was making fried dough sticks. Do you think Yu Xiaoquan is a decoration guild app? Maybe Yu Xiaoquan picked it up and took a look. Lu Zhenming shook his head. It was actually Yu Xiaoquan. I just don't know if Xiao Chen has used it. Damn it. Could it be that this kid knows that I'm a White Fox and intends to continue negotiating with me over the phone? Yu Xiaoquan is not a good guy. Of course, Xiao Chen was just casually thinking about young Master Ming. It was impossible for Yu Xiaoquan to know. He opened the message and saw that Yu Xiaoquan was looking for him for an assassination mission. Xiao Chen pondered for a moment and said to Tang, Tang has been taken away. A phone call. What if Xiao Chen goes back to chase Cheng Menjing? Then my chance will be small. Xiao Chen started the voice changer software and then dialed the number left by Yu Xiaoquan with White Fox's car. On good terms with Xiao Chen? After dialing, Xiao Chen's phone prompted that it was Yu Xiaoquan's number. Hello. Who knows? Hello. Yu Xiaoquan picked up the phone with some uncertainty. Let's hope that he will continue chasing after Jin Beibei. Young Don't get any ideas about Xiao Chen asked. Otherwise, he will be stealing what he is guarding. Fox. I've admired you for a long time. Yu Xiaoquan monkey-like man, however, if you have something to say it. He is just an insignificant servant. What do you admire me for? Do you admire me for taking your wife away? It's absolutely impossible. It's like this, Mr. White Fox. Are you doing assassination missions? Xiao Chen was her fiancé before. Yu Xiaoquan didn't want to issue a public between them, and there were no sparks between them. Everyone would know that young Master Kun wanted to kill Xiao Chen became a servant. Then he would be screwed. Thinking of that, Lu Zhenming was Master Kun's account. On the other side, most of the aristocratic families knew that it was Yu Xiaoquan's. Did you go to the toilet for hours this morning? Saw it. His reputation as a gentleman would be ruined. Tang asked, moreover, the Chen family didn't say that they wanted to kill Xiao Chen pill before. Why would he join in the fun? Xiao Chen knew that even if in order to avoid the situation, she would certainly ask after she issue a specific mission so that only the person who accepted the mission such a thing as the content of the mission. Therefore, Xiao Chen simply told her in case although he knew that the specific mission and private chat could only be seen by the person involved, He didn't believe that the warrior guild
What
could keep
happened
it
to me?
absolutely confidential.
You fainted on your way to
Therefore,
school.
he only said assassination.
But he
told
didn't
her
say
about
who
how
to assassinate.
Tang fainted and was
He
sent
planned
to the
to talk to
hospital
White
for
Fox on the
examination.
phone.
Then he said,
I'll do it, but
as
it
it
depends
happens,
on who
I
I
have a
want to assassinate,
detoxification pill
said
that my
Xiao
father
Qin.
left for me.
This person
I
is
was
called
reluctant
Xiao
to
Qin.
take it, so I
He
gave
used
it
to
to
be
you.
the son of the
I didn't
aristocratic
expect that it would
Xiao
really
family.
work.
He is a good for nothing.
You
I
gave me
believe
such
Mr.
a
White
precious thing
Fox
to
should
eat.
have heard of his
Isn't
name.
it for you to
He's
train
now
your
a
internal
Youtiao
force?
seller.
Tang
Xiao
was
Qin
touched
said,
and somewhat
if you can
regretful.
take this mission,
You gave
I
it
will
to
give
me,
you
but
3
what about
million.
yourself?
Xiao Qin,
I'll figure out another way.
Are you sure you want to kill him?
After all, I may not
3
be able
million?
to train my
Ask
internal
Xiao
force
Qin.
even if I take
Yes.
it. When Xiao
Xiao
Qin
Qin
heard
smiled
White
casually.
Fox's tone, he thought
As long
there
as
was a
you are
chance.
fine.
It
Course,
seems
I
that
know
all
the
the
Xiao
toxins
Qin.
in your body
He
have been
saved 10
expelled.
million in my hands.
Yes, I feel
He
so
told me to
refreshed.
pay attention to
No wonder
whoever
I
wants
seemed
to
to be in a
assassinate
daze
him.
before.
It turned out that I was in a coma for 3 days.
Tang
You
said,
Xiao Qin hung
"Thank
up
you
the
so
phone
much.
and used his phone
There's
to
no need
transfer
to
the
thank
money.
me.
He
We're
was really
brothers."
depressed.
Xiao
This day
Qin
was
suddenly
really too
realized
unlucky.
that when he said the word
Since Xiao
buddy,
Qin couldn't
he
be
felt a little
assassinated, what could he do? Was it just
The
a buddy?
photos in Xiao Qin's
Xiao
hands
Qin
were
admitted
always
that
a
he
hidden
didn't want to be a
danger.
buddy anymore.
Although Xiao Qin felt that Xiao
then
Qin
I
was
won't
more
stand on
likely to
ceremony.
simply blackmail and
Tang
threaten
laughed.
him.
If
By
he
the
didn't
way,
give in,
now
now
that
that
you've
you've
returned
returned to your previous
these
appearance,
things,
are you
in
going
you
back
Xiao
to the
Qin's
Tang
view,
family?
there was still
In fact,
affection
that was
between
what
Xiao
Xiao
Qin
Qin
and
was
Tang
most
Tang.
reluctant to part with.
Even if they broke
If
up,
Tang
Xiao Qin
recovered,
shouldn't harm
how could the
Tang
Tang family remain
right?
indifferent?
When Tang
In the
Tang's
past,
reputation
the Tang
was
family
ruined,
thought that
what
Tang
good would it
Tang
do
was a
him?
disgrace to the
He could
family.
only take one step
She was
at a
laughed
time.
at, broken
Next,
off the
Yu
engagement,
Xiaoqun
and
was going to
abandoned.
find Medicine
But
Master
now,
Sun and ask
such a
about the
beautiful lady,
detoxification
even
pill.
if she didn't
He
marry
wanted
into
to
the
see
Yu
if
clan,
Medicine
she
Master
could
Sun
still
could
marry
refine
into
this thing.
other
If
aristocratic
not, where
families
could
in
he buy
exchange
it?
for a lot of
If he
benefits
married
and
Tang
resources.
and she became
Would the
fat in a
Tang
few
clan
days,
let her go?
Yu Xiaoqun would feel
Xiao Qin didn't
disgusted,
think so,
as if he had
I'm
eaten
not
a
going
fly.
back. He also
Tang
knew that
said,
he and Tang
"I'm
Fanbai
living a
had
good life
become
now.
allies.
Why
So
should
it
I
was
go
impossible
back?
for him
I
not to
don't
marry
care about
Tang
those
Tang
vanity
now.
things."
He practiced the
Xiao Qin
chrysanthemum
smiled,
treasure
but
book,
he didn't
and
say
so
that
did Tang
sometimes
Fanbai.
it was not up
It was
to him to
safest for
decide
them
whether
to
to go
practice
back or
together,
not.
and they could
Just
also
like when they
learn
were
from each
driven
other.
out of the family,
However, it
if
was
Yu
not up to
Xiaoqun
them
broke
to
off the
decide.
engagement with Tang
But Xiao
Tang
Qin
and
didn't
often
want
wanted
to
to say
say
that
that
to
to
hurt
Tang
Tang,
there would be problems.
After all, Tang Tang was in a
Therefore,
good
marrying
mood.
Tang Tang
If
was
he
the
said
best
that,
cover.
she might not be
Medicine
happy to
Master
return to
Sun
her
was
previous
very excited
appearance.
today at the
In
Warriors
fact, in the
Market.
class, Miss
He got
Tang
the
was the
news
most
that the Xiao
troubled one.
family could
Jin
cooperate with
Beibei
him.
said to Qing
Next,
Menjing,
Sun
"Cousin
Yuming
went
went
to the Xiao
family and planned to discuss the
Cousin-in-law is in
business
danger
routes
this
between the
time.
two families.
He's
With
going to
Xiao
be
Hai.
taken away.
Medicine Master Sun
What
was
will he be
finally
taken
relieved.
away from?
If this
Qing
opportunity was
Menjing
taken
wrinkled
care
her
of,
nose and
the Xiao
snorted.
family would
Jin
belong to the
Beibei
Sun
said with a
family,
strong
and the
sense of
Sun
crisis,
family would also
Tang
become
Tang.
one of the 9 families.
Tang has
Songning.
become prettier.
The haze of
She's
being
as pretty as you,
disqualified
cousin.
from supplying the Xiao
Besides,
family
she's
had
obviously
also
interested
gradually
in
dissipated.
cousin-in-law.
But
It's
to be
only
honest,
a matter of
it was
time before
impossible to
cousin-in-law
say
is
that
taken
Medicine
away.
Master Sun had no
He
feelings
likes
for the
Shin
Warriors
Jingshan,
Market.
doesn't he?
He was
Isn't
a
Tang
medicine
Tang
master
buddy?
after all. Although
And he
Qing
couldn't even
Menjing
protect
said
his
that,
own
she had to
family?
admit that Tang Tang's chances had increased. But what did that have to do with her? Xiao
Chapter
Qin wasn't her
267.
fiancé. However,
nothing to
he
do
also
with her
knew
who
that
he
he
was
was
with.
Medicine Master
He could be
Sun
with
in the
whoever he
Warriors
wanted.
Market.
Once
Alas,
he left
how
the
can there be
Warriors
so many
Market and
buddies?
joined an
I'm his
aristocratic
sister-in-law.
family,
He
what's
wouldn't
going
be
to
as
happen has
powerful
to
as he was
happen.
now.
Although he
Beibei
might be
said,
respected in
"Hem,
that
why are you
family,
meddling?
what would happen
Qing
once he left
Menjing
the
glared
family?
at Jin Beibei.
Other families
Then
couldn't
what do
see
you
the
think we
value
should
and
do?
benefits you
I'm
had,
not
so
afraid
they
of
wouldn't
anything.
bother with you anymore.
I'm just worried that
there
his
was no
relationship
use in
with
pleasing
Tang
you because
will
you were
affect his
serving a
job as a
specific
servant.
family.
He was different
weren't you
now.
trying to please me
Now
in the
that
beginning?
Medicine Master
I'm
Sun
going to stop
belonged
you
to
from
the Warriors
dating.
Market.
I'm going to stir up
Basically, all
everyone
the
I
families
see.
would beg him.
I'm going to show
He
you
didn't
who's
want to
the
give
real
up his current
fiancé and
connections
who's the
and
real
status,
lady.
so he could only
That's
endure
right.
some things.
It's definitely
Young
going to
Master
affect him.
Kun, you're here.
Jin Beibei
Medicine
nodded.
Master Sun nodded to you, Xiao
Cousin
Qin.
Menjing, you have to
Medicine
show your
Master
charm
Sun.
too.
I'm sorry
example,
to disturb you
play
again.
some SM games
Yu
with
Xiaoqun
cousin-in-law
walked in
so
and
that he'll
closed
be
the
able to
door.
stay. He said,
"Oh,
I've heard about the Sun family.
Qing Menjing
Is
said
there anything
angrily.
I can help with?
It was all meaningless tricks.
There's no need for the time being.
What Bei said is the
Our
truth.
Sun family has already joined the Shao family.
Bei doesn't know
Medicine
how to play.
Master Sun
I would
didn't
have
hide
played
it.
with him too.
After all,
As long
it was
as it's for
impossible
cousin
to hide
Menjing's
this matter.
happiness,
This
I'm
news
willing
would
to
spread
sacrifice
quickly,
myself to
and
pave
Yu
the way.
Shaochuan would know by
Jean
then.
Bei said pitifully.
Join the Shao
Are you
family?
doing this for me or
Yu
for yourself?
Shaochuan was stunned.
I don't need
How
him.
did the Sun family
I don't
join
want him
the Shao
even though
family?
he's my fiancé.
Wouldn't it be more
much less a
difficult to
lowly
touch Shao
servant
in this way?
Qing Menjing said,
Young Master Kun,
"Fine."
you know the situation of the
Bei
Sun
said,
family.
"If you don't work
If we
hard
don't
when
choose
you're
a
young,
family to
you'll
join,
only be sad
our
when
Sun
you're
family
old.
will end up miserable.
What nonsense are you
However,
talking about?
looking at these families, only
Uneducated
the Shao
people are
family
terrible.
can really value
Qing
us.
Menjing kicked
Medicine
Jean Bei.
Master Sun said
Yu
honestly,
Shaochuan had no
if we
idea
joined
that
the
his
Yu family,
fiancé
will
had
the Yu
gone through
family
drastic
value us?
changes yet.
The Shao
Right
family
now,
has
he was
always been
waiting
weak
for
in
the
business,
result from red
but
hair
the Yu
and
family's
excitement at
Wuxia
home.
group has
In
always
fact,
been
red
the
hair
leading
was
enterprise
anxious
in
too.
Songning City's business
He
circle.
didn't say the relationship
Shaochuan
between
nodded
Kerlin
in
and
agreement
with
with Medicine Master
He planned to
Sun's
say it
words.
in person.
Indeed,
He
if the
couldn't
Sun
explain
family
it
joined the
clearly
Yu
over the
family,
phone,
the Yu
and there were
family
many
wouldn't
people
value them
nearby.
at all.
Oh,
The only one
found
they
it?
would value was
That's
Medicine
great.
Master Sun.
After Yu Shaochuan
With the
heard
Sun
it,
family
he jumped
as a
3
link,
feet high and
Medicine
laughed.
Master Sun
Wow,
would
the
serve the
heavens
Yu
are
family
helping me.
better. However, this wasn't a good choice for the Sun family.
Young Master Kun, this can't be rushed.
There's nothing to say about the Sun family's actions,
and then prepare to see if she's willing to be first and if she's willing to sleep with the other aristocratic families in Songning City.
Fine.
And realized that only the
Xiao family was
the most suitable.
Use force.
The other families were rising,
couldn't wait
and the Sun family could only be regarded
he was just
as
looking
the
for a
icing on the
tool
cake.
to cultivate the
Of course,
chrysanthemum treasure book.
didn't have any intention of annexing the Xiao family.
He could do whatever he
wanted.
As the representative
of
a righteous sect,
the Yu clan wouldn't have such
Red
thoughts.
Hair was overjoyed.
It's good that you
understand.
It seems like young Master Kun
Medicine
just
Master
wanted to play
Sun
around
nodded.
or achieve some kind
May
of
I know
goal.
why you're here?
That would be easy.
It's like this.
Otherwise,
Master
persuading
Sun
Kerlin would be
Have
a
you heard of
difficult
the body
task.
cleansing pill?
Very quickly, the test was
Yu
over.
asked.
There weren't any
Body
tests after
cleansing
that.
pill?
It was
What
just
does
a
it
blood
do?
test.
Detoxify
Following
and
that,
temper the
Red
body?
Hair announced,
Medicine
"All right,
Master
everyone
Sun was
wait for the
stunned.
news. Our committee will conduct a comprehensive evaluation of everyone's information. In a while, we will announce the first, second, and third prizes."
Kerlin,
I
you
missed
have a
you,
lot
so
of
I
hope.
came.
Red
Cheng
Hair was
Menjing
just
naturally
hinting.
wouldn't admit
Today,
that she
Red
was
Hair
also
had
worried
dressed
about
up like a
Xiao
dog.
Chen. His
Xiao
hair
Chen
wasn't
smiled
mild but
bitterly.
dyed back to black.
It seemed that goddess
Even
Jing
Wu
Shen
was also an
glasses.
otherworldly
He looked
fairy.
like an artistic
She
person.
pretended not to see him when she saw him. Her mental strength was also very strong.
Power,
Xiao
his
Chen,
first
let me
goal
introduce
was to
you.
become the leader
This is
of the
Lin
younger
Chao,
generation of the
Shanning's
9
junior
aristocratic
brother.
families.
This time he is
In
the
the
one
future,
who wants
he
to
would lead the
challenge
Yu
you.
family to become
Qin
the leader of
Jinping
the 9
introduced Lin Chao
aristocratic
to Xiao
families
Chen.
like the Qing family,
Lin Chao,
and then
right?
his next goal
Your
would
brother
be to
fell
become
to
a
his
giant
death.
family like
It
the
has
Shen
nothing to
family.
do with me.
Beauty, in Yu
If you want to
Xiaochun's
find
opinion,
someone,
it was
find the
possible
person
to
who
increase
asked
the
him to come and
family
strength
with
with
my
me.
marriage.
Don't look
But
for
the
me.
marriage partner must be a
Xiao
beauty.
Chen looked at Lin
He
Chao
was a
and
picky
said,
person. When
"Haha, I just
Tang
admire
became
young
ugly,
Master
he would
Zhao's
rather
driving
break off
skills.
with the Tang
I
family
want to
than marry
compete
her.
with you." But now,
Lin Chao laughed and said,
changed back.
"Oh, I'm
Yu
afraid
Xiaochuan
that
was a little
tempted.
Some
In
junior
the
brother
past,
will
he was
come and
very
take revenge
obsessed with
on me.
Tang.
I don't have that
Tang
much
was his
time."
first love.
Xiao Chen
Before
said,
Tang, he had never
"Underground
really
racing,
liked
life
any
and
girl.
death is up to fate.
Although after Tang,
This is
he
something
had played
everyone
with many
knows.
women,
I
but
also
in his
said
heart,
that I
he
only
still
want
had
to
the
challenge
impression
the
of
strong.
Tang.
Lin
He
Chao
regretted
said,
not having the chance to push Tang
Xiao Chen
down,
looked at Li
and the
Shanning,
current
who was
Tang
at the side.
made him no longer
He
interested.
immediately recognized
However,
this guy as one of the people who drove the yacht
and Yu
last time.
Xiaochun's heart was
Lin
a little
Chao was the
fanatical.
second one.
Another
Who is
key
this?
point was that he
What
was
is he
not
doing?
the only one
Could
who
he
had
be
the
Lin
Chrysanthemum
Chao's junior
treasure
brother?
book.
After
Old
he died,
Master
you came to
Tang
challenge me?
Fangbai also had it.
At
I'm
that
Lin
time,
Chao's
if the
friend.
two of them were to
I'm
stand
here
on
to
the
broaden
opposite
my
sides,
horizons.
it would not be fun.
Originally,
both
it was
of them
planned
were
that Li
unparalleled,
Shanning would
and
be
in the
Lin
end,
Chao's
both of
junior
them would
brother
be
or
defeated.
assistant.
Therefore,
But now
Yu
it couldn't be
Xiaochun
said
had the
like this.
possibility of
If he
turning
also
back
knew
to
how
her.
to race,
Thinking
what
of
if
this, Yu
Xiaochun was
Xiaochun
afraid that
decided
he
to
would
go back
continue
and
to
take a
challenge
look.
him and directly
If
reject
Tang
him?
really changed, then he would
Racing
take
is
her
very
down no matter
dangerous.
what.
Unrelated
He hoped that
people
Xiao
shouldn't
Chen
watch.
wouldn't make a move so
I'm afraid
early.
that if something
If he had
happens to
already
you,
pushed
you will
Tang
blame it
down
on
me. Then Yu Xiaochun
would
said,
regret it.
"Since I
All
dared
the way
to come,
to
I'm considered bold.
Yu
If something happens, I definitely can't look for you."
was driving
Li
Xiao
Shanning
lunch,
quickly
so he
said,
said hello.
"All right, how do we
Zhigao,
compete?
Are you going out for
Xiao
lunch?
Chen looked at Lin Chao.
Oh yeah, young Master
Where's
Kun.
the ancient jade?
Although Qi
Did you
Zhigao's
bring it?
address for Yu
Lin
Xiaochun
Chao
didn't
turned his
change,
head and looked
he
at
was a
Li
little
Shanning.
impatient in
Li
his heart.
Shanning immediately
Okay,
ran
then you
over
go.
and took out a
Yu
small
Xiaochun
box
was
from
just
a car
casually
not far
greeting.
away.
He
He was
placed it on
concerned
top
about
of
Xiao
Xiao Chen's
Chen's
affairs,
Panamera, and he was too lazy to talk nonsense with this little brother. Qi Zhigao nodded and got in the car with
Chapter
Xiao
268.
He cursed in
Lin
his
Chao
heart,
took it
damn,
and
as if
opened it in
nothing
front of
happened.
Xiao Chen.
Where's the
These are all of
compensation
them.
for my car?
Please take a look.
Why is there no sign of
Xiao
him?
Chen didn't look at it
Xiao
carefully.
Xiao, what do you want to eat? He just reached out and
Qi
touched them
Zhigao
one by
asked
one.
attentively.
His heart was
Anything.
slightly moved. Xiao Zhao's
Among
mood
these
wasn't
5
very
ancient
good these
jades,
days. 2 of them were
she heard
spiritual
that the
jades.
Qing family wanted
As
to
for the
unite
remaining
with her
3,
family
one of
through
them had
marriage.
very little
The marriage
spiritual
partner
energy.
was definitely
It could be
not her
determined
elder
to be
brother.
real jade.
Now she was
The
the
remaining
only one
2
left.
didn't have any
However,
spiritual
Xiao Xiao
energy
didn't
at
like
all.
Qing Mingqiang,
They were
so she
definitely
was
very
fake jade.
annoyed. You dare
Xiao
to
Xiao,
take out
what's wrong
these 2
with you?
fakes to fool
Why
me?
are you unhappy?
Xiao Chen glared and
provoked
turned
you?
to leave.
I will help
Are you
you
looking
beat him.
down on me? Qi
I'm not
Zhigao
playing
patted his
anymore.
chest and said,
I'm leaving.
Beat him.
Li Shanning's
heart skipped
You
a
only
beat.
know how to beat him.
There were indeed
What
2
else can you
fakes
do
mixed
besides
in,
this?
and they were the 2 that Xiao Chen pointed out. He was shocked.
Chapter 259.
Xiao Chen actually recognized
However,
the
with the
ancient
disappearance
jade.
of Xiao Feng,
Wasn't he
Xiao
talking
Chen was a
nonsense
good for
before?
nothing.
However,
Even
if he was
reasonable
reasonable
for a
for a playboy
playboy
to
to
recognize
the
the
Xiao
ancient
family
jade,
would be in a state of
these people
decline.
weren't good at other
It would would be
things, but they were
impossible for
good
the
at
Qi
studying
family
these
to take a
hobbies,
fancy to
just
such
like
a
his
declining
brother Li
family.
Shanpao.
Therefore,
Wasn't
the
he
Qi
a
family
racer?
had ordered Qi
However,
Zhigao
the
not to
colorful
have any
Li family
contact with
didn't
Xiao
need a racer
Zhao,
like him,
which made Qi
The Li
Zhigao
family
miserable.
was on a different
Thinking
level
of
from the
Xiao
Xiao
Zhao's
family.
words,
Oh,
Qi Zhigao
they're
felt like a
fakes?
knife was being
Li
twisted in
Shanning
his heart.
pretended not to know.
Qi Zhigao
Brother
picked up
Chow,
his
what's
phone
going
and
on?
dialed his grandfather's
Xiao Chen,
number.
we aren't good at
In the
this.
Qi family,
These are the
only
spoils
his
of war that
grandfather's
I won.
words carried
If you don't
enormous
think
weight.
these two are good enough,
Although his
aren't
father
there
was
three
the
more?
acting head of the
You
family,
can always choose
he
one,
still
right?
needed his grandfather
Lin
to
Chao
make
said.
decisions on important
All right
matters.
then. Best of
Zhigao,
three.
what's the matter?
Let's start.
Old Master
Xiao
Qi
Chen didn't
answered
really
the phone
want to
quickly.
leave.
He was just playing his favorite grandson, so every time he answered the phone, his voice was very kind. Let's do Grandpa, I've thought about it for a long time. That way it will be more fair. I still like Xiao Xiao. Although from his point of view, with her, every battle that he prepared without her in this Xiao Chen to lose. But what if Xiao Chen was lucky and didn't die? The haze in his heart finally won 2 rounds in the end and left with the ancient Master Qi was silent. Then he would really be screwed. Although old Master Qi didn't oppose Qi grandfather's decision to keep Qi Xiao away from Xiao Xiao. If Xiao Chen really took it away, how was he going to explain it to his grandfather? If it was those 2 fakes, it would have been fine. Once he had decided on something, Xiao Chen had 10 eyesight and immediately saw through it. No matter what you said, one had to know that the 2 fakes were the ones with the best quality among the 5 pieces of ancient jade. But now it seemed that his mind had tricked Xiao Chen, but Xiao Chen did not. I want to be with Xiao Xiao. 3 wins out of 5, said firmly. Xiao Chen was a little impatient. The Xiao family's current situation is like a decline of few more rounds. Anyone with a discerning eye can see that. Aren't you Lin Xiao's friend? Old Master Qi said, Lin Xiao? I have some friendship with Xiao Yuan. Li Shangying's words instantly became sluggish, and the family's interest is family's interest. Lin Xiao told me before that I'm not representing him, far from enough, but this is also his intention. The family's interest to help him. Not bad. Moreover, Lin Xiao family is in another city. Best of 5. Firstly, it's out of our reach. Then your bet is too small. Secondly, there's no 3rd generation in the Xiao family. Why don't you choose 2 pieces of spiritual jade from here as your spoils? The decline of the Xiao family is already a foregone conclusion. When Lin Xiao said that, he glanced at Li Shanning. Qi Xiga wanted to say, Grandpa, you're so wise. He continued. It was originally 1 piece, now it's 2 pieces. The Xiao family has declined? Is that okay? What a joke. Look at him like another year. Xiao Chen said, tell me the rules. Songning City is. Okay, the first race is a normal track. Xiao Chen to keep it a secret. We've also chosen the real karting track in the amusement park. He wouldn't say what he had promised even if whoever reaches the finish line first wins. I still insist on my opinion. Concisely. You can use your own car or the car that we provided for you. If this is the case, it doesn't matter. You will have no fate with the position of successor to the young patriarch. The Xiao family won't be able to help you in the future. Tycoon Jin Beibei is for your cousin Ziyuan. He has a good relationship with Qin Xiaojiao of the Qin family. Beibei is so honored. The Qin family is on the rise. Jin Beibei said shyly. Both of you will be 16 years old. On Lin Xiao's side, the position of the young master will be selected at this time. There was Qin Jinping's Volkswagen, Xiao Yuliang's Audi Qin family car, Lin Xiao's modified BMW M6 sports car. He had heard that Qin Jinping's sister Qin Xiaojiao Land Rover was a woman who had sex with thousands of men. The group of people arrived near the go-kart racing track. She had also slept with her brother. Xiao Chen realized that although this go-kart racing track didn't have any high difficulty positions like sharp bends with Xiao Yuliang because it wasn't built properly, there were ravines and rivers on both sides of the road. Ziyuan knows that he is not as good as rush off the track. I don't like him as much as I like you. But he can find a way to make up for it. There would definitely be protective fences on both sides of the track. He could accept Qin Xiaojiao. Furthermore, the speed of the karting car would not be too fast. You can give up the position of the young patriarch for Xiao Xiao, so there would not be any danger. Old Master Qi sighed and said it would be very dangerous to use it to race. Qi Zhigao was thinking if I didn't know a little dangerous, it should not be a problem for Xiao Chen, right? Maybe I would. Lin Xiao was afraid that Chen's matter made him more confident, so he deliberately said so. There was no one in the Xiao family who was mediocre. Then it's okay. Well, that's all I have to say. Then it's up to you to choose. Don't dawdle. Old Master Qi said, the last ride was quite interesting. There is nothing I want to go for a ride again. Grandpa, as a driver, why don't you take me for a ride? Can you help me propose to the Xiao family? Minjing glanced at Xiao Chen and gritted his teeth and said, you don't have to go. Yes, I will contact the Xiao family. I'm under a lot of pressure and opportunity. Old Master Qi said, Minjing did this to make Xiao Yuliang afraid. According to the rules of the Qi family, the marriage can be confirmed after the young patriarch is confirmed. This person looked similar to Li maximized. Although I am the old patriarch, your father was also like this. Qing Minjing was a little annoyed. Okay. I am afraid that you will die, actually a little worried that the Qing family would get married before your car? However, there are plenty of people who want to invite me to ride in their cars. He was very happy that his grandpa didn't bother with this step. Instead, he turned to look at Shinjing Xian and said, for help? I say, after hanging up the phone, why don't you lend me your fiancé? Old Master Qi sighed slightly. Anyway, you are addicted to being cuckolded. He was also optimistic. I just happened to lack a woman in my past. However, the third generation of the Xiao family, Xiao Chen, was too weak. Xiao Yuliang on the side was a rare genius in cultivation. As long as it isn't Qing Minjing, among all the girls in the aristocratic families, she was very powerful. He knew that this time her brother Xiao Chen was a loser. Stop until he was dead. If he was not very sure that Xiao Chen was the biological son of the Xiao family, she would definitely die. He would think that Xiao Chen was adopted. However, he couldn't dissuade her. Otherwise, why would Xiao Xiao, who also had the blood of the Xiao family, be stronger than him? However, there was only one reason that Xiao Chen's blood had a problem. At this time, he opened his mouth and said, it was related to his mother who had been missing since he was a child. Qin Jinping was bitter. A relatively taboo topic in the Xiao family, but he was afraid that the Xiao family would not mention it to outsiders, and outsiders knew very little about it. But to be honest, if Shinjing Master Qi was not very optimistic about Qi Ziyuan, at this time, the reason was that Qi Ziyuan was too cruel. He tugged at to achieve his
ambition
ambition,
he would do
anything. If this matter is settled, the Li family will cooperate with the Chen family.
Chapter 260.
You also know
when
our
the
Li
Sun
family's
position in
were
the warrior
exposed,
guild,
he would really
at
die
that
without
time,
a burial
it's not
place.
impossible for your
Therefore,
father
it
to
was
be
not
promoted to
impossible
the position
kill
of president.
But now
When
was not a
Qin
good
Jinping
time.
heard this,
It was as if he
Fortunately,
had been injected with chicken blood.
were only
It was
restoring
true
their
that he liked
previous
Qin
relationship.
But
If
if his
his
father
Xiaochuan
became
wanted
the
to do
president of the
something and
warrior
Tang
guild,
Tang did not
he could
agree,
totally marry a better
Xiaochuan
woman.
probably could
Now
not
that
do
Qin
anything.
Jinxian was
This
indifferent
was the
to
same
him,
as
he could
Qin
change to
Jinping and
another
Qin
one.
Jinxian.
Thinking
As
of
long
this,
as they were
Qin
not
Jinping
married,
made
they
a
could not
decision
use
in an
force.
instant. After
Xiao
all,
Chen,
the woman's
it's
background
not that
was
I
also
like to be
very
cuckolded,
powerful.
I'm just more
100
open-minded.
million.
All right, then
Xiao
let
Chen
Jinxian sit in
directly
your
stretched
car.
out a finger and
Thank
gestured
you.
in front of you.
Xiao Chen opened the car door and said to Qin Jinxian,
Xiaochuan's eyes
Goddess
widened and he
Jinxian,
was suddenly
please get in the
shocked.
car.
Even though he
Qin
looked like a
Jinxian
gentleman,
frowned
he
and
could
looked
not
at
help
Qing
but
Minjing.
curse at this moment.
Qing Minjing wanted
Xiao
to
Chen,
say something
are
but
you
stop.
King
She didn't
crazy
believe
because
that
of
Qin
poverty?
Jinxian couldn't
Why
see
should I
through
give
the
you
motive
money?
of Chao Youyang's group.
I have photos.
So this kind of
Xiao
matter
Chen
could only
said
be
lightly,
decided by Qin
although I did
Jinxian
not do it
herself.
with her. I took a
However,
lot of
based on
photos of
Qing
her.
Minjing's
When the
understanding
time
of
comes,
Qin Jinxian, she was a kind girl and would
was so
definitely get
angry
in the
that
car
his
to
chest
protect
heaved.
Xiao Chen
He
secretly.
wanted to slap
All
Xiao Chen
right.
to death at this
Qin
moment.
Jinxian got in the
He
car.
did not expect that
Xiao
Xiao
Chen
Chen
also
would
got
make
in the
such a
car and
condition.
drove the car to the
Originally,
starting point
he thought
of the
that Xiao
go-kart
Chen
track.
would be easy to
Getting
deal
ready.
with, but this
In
guy
the
was
car,
really
Qin
difficult.
Jinxian glared at Xiao Chen.
He looked at Tang
How
Tang
can you
and
be
saw
so
her nodding
bold to ask me to
embarrassedly.
get in the car
You
in front of
Xiaochuan's heart
Minjing?
was cold.
I'm also
In
in
his
front of your
opinion,
fiancé.
Tang Tang would
Xiao
not
Chen
joke with
reached
her
out to hold
reputation.
Qin Jinxuan's
This
hand.
was related to
Qin
Tang
Jinxuan's
Tang's
body
reputation.
stiffened subconsciously,
He was going crazy.
and she withdrew
Are
her
you
small hand
asterisk
from
king
Xiao
crazy
Chen's big
because
hand.
of poverty?
Xiao
You
Chen,
dare
it's
to
not
say
good
anything?
for us to do this.
100 million?
The matter on the
Pull
island
out
was
the
a
9
misunderstanding
families of
Songning County and
I
asked
know.
them one by one.
Xiao Chen
How many
continued
of
to
them
hold
could
Qin
come up with
Jinxuan's
100
hand,
million in
but he
cash?
didn't manage to do
And he
so.
was not the
So he
master of
simply
the Yu
put his
family.
hand on Qin Jinxuan's
Even the master
thigh.
of the family, Master Yu,
What are you doing?
could not come up with
Qin
100
Jinxian
million
was shocked
directly.
and quickly pushed
If you
Xiao
don't
Chen's
agree,
hand
then
away.
forget it.
I wanted
Then
to
I will
change the
continue,
gear,
but
but
I
I
touched
touched
the
the
wrong
wrong
place. Xiao
I'm
Chen
just
said
not used to this
shamelessly.
sports car.
Okay, let me think
Xiao
about
Chen
it.
laughed dryly,
A
and he
ruthless
also
glint
felt that he
flashed
seemed to
in
have gone
Xiaochuan's
overboard.
eyes. He definitely couldn't take out 100 million, at least not now. What he was thinking now was whether he could find someone to get rid of Xiao Chen. Or even if he didn't kill Xiao Chen, he would destroy those photos from Xiao Chen's hands. Qin Jinping told her the whole truth. Now living at Qing Minjing's place. There was no need to ask for more information. So there was definitely no place to store those photos. wanted to find a chance to talk to Xiao Chen. It was probably in a camera or laptop. Since she was in the car, it was convenient. If he could smash those two things into pieces, then he would have nothing to worry about. Xiao Chen smiled and said, "About it." Goddess Xiao Chen also felt to say Xiao Chuan's ruthlessness. Li Shanpao also wanted his homie. You'd better not have any crooked thoughts, Li Shanpao. Otherwise, I can only send you on your way in order to protect myself. Was a little surprised. Yu Xiaochuan left. Xiao Chen's face was not only ugly, but I also she sat in her seat, a little unhappy. What? She ate half of the box was a little shocked. Stopped eating. She never thought that Qin Jinquan's death was not an accident. Financial foundation, but Xiao Chen they didn't have to eat. But why did Xiao Chen do it every day? Wasn't he afraid that the Qin family would find out? Sold at a better school. Didn't he die in an accident? Although the dishes inside were not as delicious as the Qin family ordered in the cafeteria, don't you know you will be in danger? The nutrition was also quite rich. If they found out, you don't want to eat. Xiao Chen shook his head indifferently. Still had a lot left. I killed Qin Jinquan. How can I be wanted to deal with Tang Tang? I didn't expect this guy to be such a scumbag. When Qin Jinxian became a little more beautiful and he jumped out, she became silent. Tang was a little depressed. Xiao Chen originally she was very happy that she never thought that Xiao Chen was such a strong person. This was because she could confess to Xiao Chen. She got to know Xiao Chen better. She no longer needed to use her identity as incomprehensible to her. But now there were too many mysteries about Xiao Chen, which made Tang Tang suddenly understand that her previous idea was just a fantasy. Not the ability of a warrior really at all. Changed back with even masters at the level of her father and grandfather now, might not be able to do it. That she could return to her previous appearance. He likes me, it was better to kill Qin Jinquan for me. Although she and Xiao Chen were just buddies, at least they could be happy together. If it was in the past, friends could also be very happy. It was just that the good days were coming to an end, right? Looking at Xiao Chuan's appearance, felt that he didn't want to give up. How could she be happy when Xiao Chen killed Qin Jinping? Even if she refused, the Tang family might take coercive measures against her. But now she felt that what Xiao Chen did was right. To be honest, Qin Jinping more or less knew what happened that day. Puff. Qin Jinquan wanted to find someone to gang rape Xiao Chen's words. It was not an exaggeration for Xiao Chen to kill his sentence. She was just help but be amused. As long as he liked it, he would kill. You still have the mood to eat? You don't tell me you've killed Qin Jinping as well. I may not be able to go to the morning market with you to sell fried dough sticks. But if he continues to help the wicked and make trouble for me, then he is not far from death. He wanted to say that if Tang Tang waited for him with the improvement of Xiao Chen's strength, but he couldn't say even if he didn't kill these unstable factors, had always been buddies before. Xiao Chen would cripple him. Although they hinted at each other, they didn't confess. Then even if Xiao Chen wanted to snatch, what identity would he use to do it? Moreover, how could Xiao Chen snatch? If he was the young master of the Xiao family, he could compete with the Yu family, but now he wasn't. But she actually said he could only rely on himself for everything. Don't ask him for so much money.
I know you want him to give up, but I know you Xiaochuan better than you. He isn't a person who gives up easily. Lin Chao was somewhat puzzled. His persistence is beyond your imagination.
Why didn't Xiao Chen do something bad to you?
King burst.
Tang Tang said.
Logically speaking, it should be about time. It's not the first time I've been threatened. Li Shanning, who was watching the competition from afar, at worst he was also a little puzzled. It's all your fault, Xiao Yuliang and Qin Jinping.
Now, what's going on?
Tang's side. Are Xiao Chen's wheels also specially modified? For many days? Xiao Chen nodded silently. He only goes to school every day. But now all the promises were in vain. His strength hadn't shook his head, indicating that it once again had a strong desire for strength. However, he was very worried about Xin Jingxian. If he was now a cultivator at the goddess that he liked, or even ninth level of the Qi she died before he even had sex with her, would you dare to say no to him? It would have been fine if he had sex with her. He probably wouldn't even dare to fart. That's really strange. Could it be that his tires are vegetarian of better quality? It won't be so easy for you Xiaochuan to succeed. On the other side, Qing Menjing was also watching the competition with a frown. Tang didn't say anything. Jean Bebe was dancing and cheering at the side. Sometimes a person's strength was really insignificant in front of the family. Stop for a while. Otherwise, she and Xiaochuan wouldn't be driven out of the family so easily. Qing Menjing was a little annoyed. Qing Menjing sat not far away. Servant. She didn't know whether she was happy or sad. What should she do was taken back by you Xiaochuan, and Xiaochuan could concentrate on being her servant. Why did he bring Xin Jingxian with him when he was courting death? Young Miss felt a little sad. You like Xin Jingxian, so you let her die with you? This was the first time that Xiaochuan fell in love. Although she heard that he liked Xin Jingxian and Kerlin before, they didn't get together after all. Tang was with him day and night. Do you think it's possible that Sister Jingxian is with cousin-in-law? His buddy? It seems that Sister Jingxian is very concerned about cousin-in-law. Was sometimes very sensitive. That's Jingshuan's character. At least, Qing Menjing felt that the relationship between the two was not like a simple buddy. Qing Menjing shook her head. There must be an ambiguous relationship. After all, Xin Jingxian was a very kind person. Will do something bad to Xiaoqing? Qing Menjing also heard that Xiaoqing blackmailed you Xiaochuan for 100 million yuan. Cousin-in-law is so excellent that he will be snatched away sooner or later. She couldn't help but ask worriedly, why don't I think so? Can't be. My cousin-in-law is a transformer. She thought to herself that Xiao Kun is no match had a lot of advantages. Jean Bebe said, why didn't she know about them before? I think Xiao Kun is going to be unlucky. Free love is better than blind dates. Xiao Chen wasn't so greedy before. He learned it from you. Qing Menjing snorted. She had never seen Xiao Chen care so much about money before. Wherever he went, his first thought was to scam people. He was simply a copy of Jean Bebe. I don't think so. My cousin-in-law and Bebe are in love. Chapter 271. What? Then I'm going to speed up. Qing Menjing's eyes widened. As Xiao Chen said this, we share the same speed of the car, but he suddenly heard an inaudible click. Qing Menjing glared and he was shocked subconsciously. Don't always say ambiguous words. There must be something wrong with the car. You won't be able to get married. Soon he found out that something was wrong. Can I get married now? The car's brakes were malfunctioning. Bebe asked back. Xiao Chen couldn't help but sneer. Qing Menjing thought about it. This Chao Yuliang is really scheming. Whoever dared to marry a little devil was simply courting death. The brake system is destroyed by radio wave manipulation. Otherwise, it matters if no problem before. Jean Bebe, however, said matter-of-factly, seemed to have noticed the problem. Cousin Menjing, the brakes are broken. Work hard. Xiao Chen otherwise, said, if my cousin-in-law runs away, to do it, I won't be able to protect him. You are also in the car. In their eyes, there was only profit. There was an evil fire in his chest that he couldn't vent. So he directly called red hair. Although Qin Jinping liked red hair in the face of absolute profit, hurry up and bring me that girl. He could also give up her. Wasn't it now? And Xin Jingxian felt that Xiao Chen was a little reluctant to leave. However, Xiao Chen would never give up her for profit. Then what awaited him was death. Never mind for profit. Even the person who gave him profit would probably be killed by Xiao Chen. It was just about the same as the amount of blood donated. Although he was just a little weak and unreasonable, Xin Jingxian found that she liked this kind of Xiao Chen. This was the third time you Xiao Chen had come to the Tang family's front door. The last two times you Xiao Chen came to the Tang family are all like that. He had to let the guard announce his arrival differently. However, this time the child of a big family respectfully greeted you Xiao Chen. Rolled her eyes. Young Master Tang is here, but he didn't seem to see come in. Old Master Tang said that you don't need to announce your arrival. Xiao Chen said, you can go in directly the same as before. Would you be so good to me? Heard the guard's words, he was obviously stunned. Xin Jingxian was going on. We're just familiar with each other. Son-in-law again. Well, I'm a little familiar with your body, Xiao Chen said. But on the surface, he still maintained his composure and said, I don't think it's good. Okay, then I'll go in directly. Every time Xin Jingxian heard Xiao Chen's words, she didn't feel annoyed. The guard did not stop him. Instead, she felt excited. He still had a smile on his face. I just want you to forget about the broken brakes, and they were not lying, said Xiao Chen. When you Xiaochuan came in, the brake is broken and you still so calm. What should we do? Although he was a little curious as to why you was reminded by Xiao Chen, he was still a little expectant when he thought that there might be news about the other bowl. Xiao Chen said lightly. Greets old Master Tang. Xin Jingxian was speechless. You Xiaochuan came to the living room and bowed very politely. Could only accelerate all the way. Well, Xiaochuan, I wonder why you're here driving skills and the support of his engagement with Tang Tang. There wouldn't be any problem without planning to get married. Even if they were high up in the sky, saw you Xiaochuan couldn't rush down. Faint smile. Soon he caught up with Lin Chao. Tang Tang's engagement to pressure you Xiaochuan could only be overtaken at the other bowl as soon as possible. There was enough
space at the bend. Although Tang Fangbai perhaps it was because this amusement park would have some water supply. It was always good to give you facilities at the bend, but it hadn't been added yet. Big deal. Could be used to overtake. I'm here to discuss with you when I'll get married to Tang. It wasn't a bend in front, but an ordinary straight road. What? Tang Fangbai's face suddenly became extremely shocked. He couldn't believe 3 rounds I'm going crazy. Follow his words and said, you won't have a chance. You said, you want to get married to Tang. I'm waiting for you to go crazy. Is this true? Xiaoqin nodded and said, view, what are we competing in? Would definitely find a way to find a bowl for him. Our venue but he did not expect that Xiaoqin would collide with each other and see who can push the other out of the circle. This made Tang Fangbai a little confused and didn't know what to say. Did you Xiaoqin deliberately say this to annoy me? The rules are simple, or did he start to give up because he couldn't find a bowl? Let's end it earlier. Grandpa Tang, which day do you think is the goddess to rent a room? Tang and I have known each other since childhood. You don't have any objections, right? What do you think, Xiaoqin looked at Qin Jinping. You Xiaoqin said with a very sincere look. You must be joking. You Xiaoqin, let's not bully your brother's wife. Don't play tricks with me. Qin Jinping's face was a little unnatural. Don't you want to break off the engagement with Tang? Isn't it popular to bully a brother's wife? Tang Fangbai frowned after listening. He knew Yu Xiaoqin's previous thoughts better than anyone else. Of course, that depends on Jing Fangbai didn't know what Yu Xiaoqin was doing. Then I can't say anything. Grandpa Tang, you really know how to joke. It seems that I have to work hard. My marriage doesn't really agree now, but I think she will agree in the Yu family and the Tang family together. How could I break off the engagement? What do you mean about when we will get in the future? Yu Xiaoqin said this with a smile as if it was really the matter. After listening to Yu Xiaoqin's inexplicable words, Tang Fangbai was very unhappy. Let's race first. He was about to speak, but my car's brakes are broken. A person from the Tang family walked in quickly. Can you give me another one? Tang Fangbai glanced at him and didn't stop him. We don't need our own car. This person was his trusted butler, and he had prepared Tang's special bumper decades. It was not easy for him to come in such a collide with each other. Old Jing, this time you can choose one of the 2 cars first. If there are any problems, like it won't be my problem anymore. Old Jing whispered into Tang Fangbai as he pointed to the bumper cars that were prepared not far away. And then he revealed a look of realization. It's fine even if the brakes don't work. What Yu Xiaoqin was here for. Lin Chao's bad luck. All right, old Zhang, said Xiaoqin indifferently. Tang Fangbai waved his hand, and then with a lazy look, he came to the bumper car racetrack. Smile. This bumper car racetrack was similar to the previous ones. When you saw that my granddaughter was ugly, and the venue wasn't surrounded. Now that there were only a few broken wooden boards around, isn't that wrong? And it said that construction workers shouldn't come close. Tang has always been my fiancé. Only we haven't broken off the engagement, so why would I want her? To be honest, the third race looked simple, but it was also the hardest to determine the winner. Tang colliding with each other. However, he was not in a hurry to knock the opponent out. Other than the restriction of the engagement, the bumper cars were the same, and their performance was similar. Back then, one person was running in front, and the other was chasing behind. Now, you want to use true love to coax me back. How long would it take for them to bump into each other? Grandfather Tang scoffed. It wasn't just a test of skills, it was also a test of judgment. I wonder if you found the other bowl. Luck. However, what puzzled Xiaoqin was that although the bumper cars were troublesome, he suddenly reached out and grabbed Grandfather Tang's crotch. In this race, how would Lin Chao and Li Shanning get rid of him? Grandfather Tang was shocked as he screamed and broke free. Yu Xiaoqin, what are you doing? Was this a race where they have no respect to turn defeat into victory? What? I don't agree to your relationship with Tang Tang. In any case, Xiaoqin had already because of your embarrassment into the bumper cars. To think that you would resort to such a dirty move. Expression turn ugly. To think that you are the leader of the younger generation, in the middle of the front seats of a real car. Even after I grabbed you, Grandfather Tang in the same row, they couldn't touch each other. You really are a man of steel. However, the bumper cars were different. There was only one row of seats in the car. Or could it be that Grandfather Tang would actually be next to each other? In this way, what do you mean by that? Xiaoqin might take advantage of Shin nonsense, then get lost. Especially when the cars collided with each other. Shin Jingshan would inevitably stick to Grandfather Tang. You don't have it. Shin Jinping. I wonder if you cut it off yourself or something. At this time, he even prayed that Shin Jingshan and Xiaoqin would die together in this race. You are already so old and have so many children and grandchildren. When you don't have any use for that thing anymore, she obviously noticed this as well. If you cut it off, then so be it. Her pretty face couldn't help but blinding his own business. She glared at Xiaoqin with her beautiful eyes. If there's nothing else, then get out. You always want to take advantage of me. You are not welcome here. Every time. This car was arranged by Qin Jinping. Right? Chapter 262. What does it have to do with me? Oh, you found the other bowl? Xiaoqin shrugged his shoulders and looked at Qin Jinping Chrysanthemum treasure book. Your fiancé likes to be cuckolded. I can't do anything about it. He didn't hide it anymore. He didn't expect that you would take me to the car. He also knew that it was meaningless to say anything else. No, but I checked the half of the bowl that you asked me to take a picture of Grandpa Tang. I'll just bear with it. There are magic characters on it. It's the Chrysanthemum treasure book. Yu Xiaoqin didn't beat around the bush anymore. Chapter 272. Tang Fangbai nodded and said helplessly, taken advantage of by me. I can't fool you. Xiaoqin smiled and said, don't wait until I get used to it. Don't tell me you also want to take advantage of me. Your purpose of coming here is not actually for Tang Tang. Shin said, after the game, you are not allowed to do this to me. Don't tell me your real intention lies in the bar. What is going on? You know better than me. I really came for Tang Tang. You are also a rational person, aren't you? This is one of them. Yu Xiaoqin nodded and said, but I want to see the other half bowl.
or you can directly give me the translated content. Wanted to say that she couldn't be with him, this is your purpose. But she was afraid that Xiao Chen would affect the mood of racing, so she had to say, he was thinking about the consequences of this matter. I am Qin Jinping's fiancé. It seemed that he had to agree to Yu Xiaochuan's request. Smiled. After all, Yu Xiaochuan had something on him. Jingxian was in a difficult family and the Yu family were both branches of the wealthy, and there were also their own big families above them. In fact, these two families were at the same level in a difficult position, so he did not push the leading families of the righteous sections. I especially like to take other people's fiancés, if it was really revealed that such as Tang Bai cultivated the chrysanthemum treasure book, how can you be so fickle? He was afraid that the Tang family would not need to trouble him. Xiao Chen's words also made divine her a little art was cultivated to a certain level. Other boys in front of her, they could not wait to swear that she was his one and only, right? So what? Xiao Chen, on the other hand, it would be easy for him to be independent and establish. Was he going to have 3 or 4 wives? So Jingxian was born in an ancient martial arts family. Yu Xiaochuan did not care much about these things, but she was also educated in modern times, so she was still a little unhappy. Do you want Tang Tang to be a widow for the rest of her life? Tang Tang used to be with Xiao Chen every day and asked. Later, Tang Tang returned to her former beautiful appearance. That is stupid. And Yu Xiaochuan wanted to take her back. Laughed and then took out the notes he got. No one would be happy about it. He shook it twice in front of Tang Fangbai. She was still on Xiao Chen's side in her heart. She did not want Yu Xiaochuan to take Tang Tang back. Although he was a little annoyed that Yu Xiaochuan said that castrating oneself was nothing to do with me. He had to admit that the notes in Yu Xiaochuan's hands attracted him. I'm just thinking about Tang Fangbai had already made his decision. Xiao Chen didn't expect that his casual words would cause Shen Jingxuan's imagination to run wild. Didn't take out the notes, because the competition was about to begin. Would still have to compromise. The bumper cars weren't convertible. After all, the people outside couldn't hear what Xiao Chen and Shen Jingxian were saying. Now, it seemed that Yu Xiaochuan becoming his grandson-in-law was the best choice. Even Xiao Chen suspected that this kid was a hidden warrior like Chrysanthemum treasure book. Otherwise, how could he be so powerful? He placed them on the tea table in front of him. He waved the small flag in his hand and said to Xiao Chen and Lin Chao, "Everyone knows what kind of people you and I are. Let's take a look. 4, 3, 2, 1. No problem. Begin." Yu Xiaochuan breathed a sigh of relief. The bumper car and crashed into Xiao Chen. It seemed that Tang Fangbai had agreed to his proposal. Shen Jingxian was startled and had become a matter of course. He can't. Both of them sat down and quietly looked at the information provided by the other backward drift. To be honest, the bumper car's control was a little obviously weaker than a sports car, especially when he saw that he could succeed without castration. He regretted being a little too anxious. If he had waited for the bumper cart that he would have had to castrate himself, better than the bumper cart from a regular amusement park, family didn't need him to carry on the family line. After all, it was an entertainment device, occasionally found a model. Even so, it was Xiao Chen's super strong sense. It was better not to lose it if it was not necessary. He was able to quickly familiarize himself with the control of the bumper cart. He was able to maximize the performance of the bumper cart. He suddenly remembered the talent show that the Yu family made these days. Lin Chao was the talent show? He didn't expect Xiao Chen to drift backward. Yu Xiaochuan nodded and said, was that? I found it, logically speaking, that Xiao Chen shouldn't have touched this kind of bumper car before. I can lend it to Grandpa There were many bumper car manufacturers, and this bumper car was bought by Lu Shan again from overseas. The other cultivation explanations are good. Bumper car in the country. Can I make a copy? Moreover, it was a right-hand steering car. Yes, Lin Chao thought that Xiao Chen would drive it clumsily. Also wanted to copy even the if he could get used to it, it would take some time. So both of them took what Xiao Chen could drift as soon as he got on the car. Could it be that he had played with this kind of car before? The two of them now had a tacit understanding that they couldn't let anyone know that they were practicing from an aristocratic family might have traveled abroad before. Someone would rob it. This kind of car was very common in large amusement parks abroad. As for Tang Tang's matters, just do as you said. He went for wool and came home shorn. The car that was shipped over from abroad after so much effort wasn't of much important thing. Lin Chao had been practicing and adapting to this car for a long time, but he still couldn't master the forward drift, let alone the backward solve the trouble you caused yourself. Shen Jingxian didn't play with cars, but she knew how to drive. She had also seen some racing movies and competitions. Tang Fangbai snorted coldly. At this time, when she saw that Xiao Chen could drift backward with the bumper car, it seemed that he had to rely on himself but flash with surprise. He couldn't count on Tang Fangbai. In the past, she had never heard that Xiao Chen knew how to race. Tang Tang had changed back. In the past few years, the Tang family's impression of Xiao Chen was that he was ignorant, so he couldn't hide the fact that Xiao Chen's pursuit of Tang Tang was secretly instructed by him. But how was he ignorant and incompetent? If he was ignorant and incompetent, then there was no one else in the aristocratic family. Yu Xiaochuan planned to bargain with him. Even if he was born in the Shen family with the talent and strength that Xiao Chen displayed now, someone from the Tang family sent a message to be the heir of the family, telling her to pay attention to her image in the future. She was Yu Xiaochuan's such as a marriage alliance. She shouldn't be ambiguous with Xiao Chen by too much. That would be bad for her reputation, the reputation of the Tang family. It was easier for an outstanding family leader to lead a family to the peak, which was much more reliable than a marriage alliance. What? Xiao Chen could be roped into the Shen family? As soon as this thought came to mind, Shen Jingxian couldn't help but shake her head. No matter how outstanding Xiao Chen was, he could only be the son-in-law of the Shen family at most. It was impossible for him to become the heir of the Shen family. In this way, his role to the Shin family was actually limited, especially since Xiaoqin represented one person, not a family. Even if he was an outstanding talent, without the support of a family, it was useless. Among the children of aristocratic families, there were many young martial arts geniuses. These people were outstanding and famous at a young age, but could you say that there were no independent cultivators comparable to them? In fact, it was not the case. It was just that independent cultivators without the support of a family, their individual strength was ultimately limited. No matter how outstanding a person was, without a corresponding platform, he wouldn't be able to display his talent. Thinking of this, Shen Jingxian felt a little sorry for Xiaoqin. If he wasn't born in the Xiao family that was on the decline, perhaps Xiaoqin would become an outstanding talent of his generation. However, it was also possible now, but from nothing to something, it would take a long time. Her brother couldn't wait, and the Shin family couldn't wait either. Shen Jingxian was very conflicted. She didn't want to be with Chen Jinpeng anymore. Of course, although Xiaoqin dodged a few times, most of the time he still met Lin Qiao head-on. This was because dodging alone couldn't push the opponent out of the circle, and that wouldn't be considered a victory. Otherwise, there wouldn't be a winner even if he dodged for a day, and the competition would continue endlessly. Fortunately, the bumper cars were professional. Even if they collided, there wouldn't be any damage. However, what made Xiaoqin a little confused was that Lin Qiao purposely knocked Xiaoqin in one direction. As for the other directions, Lin Qiao didn't care. For example, there was a time when it seemed like a good opportunity. Xiaoqin's car was at the edge of the circle, and as long as Lin Qiao knocked over, he might knock Xiaoqin's car out. Of course, this was only on the surface. Xiaoqin could deal with it, but Lin Qiao didn't know. Lin Qiao actually didn't grasp such a good opportunity and let it go. This made Xiaoqin very puzzled. What was this person trying to do? However, as Lin Qiao's intentions became more and more obvious, Xiaoqin also began to have doubts. Could it be that there was a problem with the direction Lin Qiao wanted to hit? Thinking about it, it was really possible. After confirming that there was a problem, Xiaoqin released his divine sense and began to investigate the situation there. In the end, he found the problem with a little investigation. It turned out that in that direction there was a deep pit. He didn't know what it was used to build, but it should be an underground amusement facility. However, after it was dug, it was covered with something so it couldn't be seen from the outside. The pit was very deep and there were some sharp angle irons in it. How did Xiaoqin know about it? This was something that even Qiao Yuliang and Chen Jinpeng didn't know about. Previously, Li Shaning was afraid that they would leak the secret, so he didn't mention these things in detail. But now, what puzzled Li Shaning the most was that even if Xiaoqin found out about the jet system, he wouldn't know how to use it. Shen Jingxian took a deep breath. Lin Qiao was really dead. The poochie sound was accompanied by a scream. It was as if a person had been pierced by a bayonet. It made her heart tremble. It was hard for her to imagine that a life had been lost just like that. Looking at the indifferent expression of Xiaoqin beside her, Shen Jingxian was a little confused. In fact, she also knew that the world of martial artists was different from that of ordinary people. It was just that cruel. This was a level that ordinary people might not be able to reach in their lifetime. But once you entered this level, you would become helpless. If Xiaoqin didn't get rid of them, they would want to get rid of Xiaoqin. Another one died. Shen Jingxian sighed. If you can avoid killing people, it's better not to kill people. You will be exposed sooner or later. Let's talk about it, when I am exposed. Xiaoqin wanted to say that he would have the strength to face it calmly. But suddenly Xiaoqin remembered that he hadn't broken through and leveled up for a long time. He didn't know when he could break through. Shen Jingxian didn't say anything. She knew that she couldn't stop Xiaoqin. She said quietly, "Let's get out of the car." Xiaoqin and Shen Jingxian got out of the car. Li Shaning walked over with Qiao Yuliang and Chen Jinpeng with a gloomy face. Li Shaning glanced at Lin Qiao, who was in the big pit, and knew that he wouldn't survive. He was secretly annoyed, but he knew that it had nothing to do with Lin Qiao. The mistake this time was entirely because the jet system in Xiaoqian's car had suddenly started. Oh, my cousin-in-law is really a transformer. His car can even jet just like Megatron. Jean Bebe ran over while shouting. Megatron is a bad guy, Qing Menjing said. Bebe likes bad guys. Jean Bebe said. I don't like bad guys, Qing Menjing said. Alright then. That's Optimus Prime, Jean Bebe agreed. Boss Xiaoqin, how come your car can jet? Chen Jinpeng asked tentatively. He was also a little puzzled. During the competition just now, Li Shanning had explained that there was only one remote control, which was in Lin Xiao's hands. It was a remote control that could control 2 cars, and there were 2 buttons on it. Could it be that Lin Xiao pressed the wrong button before he died? However, there was no way to prove it. Lin Xiao was dead. Who knew whether he pressed the button or not? I don't know either. I saw Lin Xiao's car hit me. I was flirting with Jingxian. I was so scared that I couldn't react in time. In the end, my car suddenly dashed out. I don't know what happened, Xiao Qin said. Then I saw Lin Xiao drive out by himself. Qin Jinping was a little speechless. Although he didn't believe Xiao Chen at all when he said that he was flirting with Shen Jingxian, he also felt disgusted as if he had eaten a fly when Shen Jingxian didn't deny it. In fact, he used to be Xiao Chen's underling. Whether Xiao Chen could catch up with Shen Jingxian or not, he was very clear. Shen Jingxian was such a goddess. It was impossible for her to fall for Xiao Chen. However, Qin Jinping still felt uncomfortable. I won, right? Since Lin Xiao is dead, quickly give me the ancient jade. I'm going back, Xiao Chen said. Li Shanning hesitated. He also knew that he couldn't fall out with Xiao Chen at this moment. On the surface, Chao Yuliang and Qin Jinping were still on Xiao Chen's side. If he went back on his word and Xiao Chen ordered them to snatch it, they couldn't not do it. If they didn't do it, their identity would be exposed. It would be difficult to assassinate Xiao Chen next time. Forget it, I'll just take it as it's in his hands. I'll get it back when the time comes. Alright, as Lin Xiao's friend, I'll make the decision for him. If you're willing to bet, you must be willing to lose. This is also the professional ethics of an excellent racer. As Li Shanning spoke, he placed the box containing the ancient jade in front of Xiao Chen. Xiao Chen directly took out the 2 pieces of jade with spiritual energy. I'll take these 2. You can take the rest back. Li Shanning suddenly felt a little heartache. The remaining 3 pieces of ancient jade were not ancient jade at all. It was needless to say that 2 of them were fakes. As for the remaining piece, although it was real jade, it wasn't ancient jade. It was a piece of jade that was mined in the modern era. Although its value wasn't low, it didn't have much collection value. It couldn't be compared to the 2 pieces that Xiao Chen took away. Then I'll be going back. Young Master Xiao, your driving skills are indeed impressive. I reckon that Lin Xiao has died wholeheartedly. It's not unjust for him to die under the opponent's car, Li Shanning said gloomily. He had suffered a double loss in today's races. Not only had he blinded one of his eyes, but even Lin Xiao had died. But then again, it had nothing to do with Xiao Chen at all. If these were done by Xiao Chen, he could use this as a pretext to make a fuss and take action. At that time, even if he took action within the boundaries of the Songning Martial Artist Guild, there would still be a reason. Otherwise, even Chang Long, who had a deep relationship with the Martial Artist Guild's headquarters, wouldn't dare to break the rules at this moment. After all, the Martial Artist Guild wasn't a monopoly. There was still the Supernatural Investigation Bureau, which was in charge of supervision. And these tragedies were all accidents. Chapter 274. Jean Bei's Panamera could not be driven, and Xiao Chen did not have a car. Therefore Xiao Chen turned his head and looked at Li Shanning. Hey, you have 2 cars. Give me one. You asked me to come to the race, but you drove my car into pieces. You even pretended that nothing had happened. What's going on? Are you asking me to refuse the next race? Then Boss Xiao Chen, you can drive my car, Qin Jinping said quickly. I'm talking to Lin Xiao's friend. Little Shed, you are one of us. You don't have to be polite with me. Xiao Chen waved his hand and said. Li Shanning was a little annoyed. You came to race and drove your car into pieces. How dare you ask me for a car? You didn't come here for nothing. You won 2 pieces of ancient jade. Why are you complaining? However, he was also afraid that Xiao Chen would be unhappy and refuse the challenge in the future. Therefore, he had no choice but to hand the key of his Range Rover to Xiao Chen. You can drive my car. Is that okay? Oh, that's more like it. Xiao Chen took the car key without hesitation and then said to Qin Jinping, you send the Panamera to the 4S shop for repair. Tell them that it belongs to Jean Bei. Is that okay? No problem. Qin Jinping nodded and thought, this is obviously my Panamera. But I don't dare to say it. I have to run the errand for nothing. But isn't this what an underling should do? He had to continue to play the role of an underling. Pay the money by the way. Xiao Chen patted Qin Jinping's shoulder and said, I'll treat you to a meal next time. Come to my youtiao stall. You can eat as much as you want. Qin Jinping found some comfort in the first half of the sentence. He thought that he didn't do it for nothing. It was okay to have a meal. But he almost cried at the end. How many youtiao can you eat? I'll choke to death. Okay. Qin Jinping nodded. Thank you. Xiaoqin got in the Land Rover. Jin Beibei sat in the passenger seat, while Xin Jingxian and Qing Minjing sat in the back. The four of them drove away from the Maliwan construction site. Watching them leave, Li Shanying finally lost his temper. *CK their ancestors. This kid's luck is pretty good, huh? Xiaoqin does have some dog shit luck. Otherwise, a piece of trash like him wouldn't be able to live until now. Chao Yuliang nodded. His face was a little ugly because he also thought that Xiaoqin would definitely die this time. There were hidden dangers in every match, but Xiaoqin was able to avoid them. This was really overflowing with luck. If Xiaoqin doesn't die this time, it will be even more difficult to kill him next time. Li Shanying frowned. I didn't expect there to be so many twists and turns to kill a small fry. Young Master Li, do you know my difficulties now? Chao Yuliang sighed. I've always wanted to kill him, but this guy's luck is off the charts. I can't do anything about it. That's true. Some people are born with good luck. Okay. Xiaoqin went to the bathroom to test the water temperature and found that it was just right. Then he asked Qing Minjing to come over. Actually, Xiaoqin didn't reject the Missy's orders at all. A tsundere girl had her cute side and not everyone had the princess syndrome. Moreover, although Qing Minjing looked fierce on the surface like she was a queen in reality, she had a meticulous and kind side that was easy to overlook. This was the side that Xiaoqin was most touched by, and also the side that he had the most favorable impression of the eldest Mississippi. In the past, Xiaoqin could only be said to have a kind of possessive desire towards his fiancée, Qing Minjing. If they were to talk about love, it definitely couldn't compare to his love for Xin Jingxian. But right now Xiaoqin realized that it would not be a bad idea if he really married the lady. Xin Jingxian went upstairs to hide. To Jin Beibei's disappointment, she did not seem to disturb Yi Xiaoya. Therefore Jin Beibei lost the chance to challenge Yi Xiaoya. Xiaoqin also went upstairs to hide. After going upstairs, Xiaoqin directly pushed open the door of a guest room and walked in. Then he pushed open a closet next to it and stuck himself inside. When the closet was opened, Xin Jingxian thought that she had been found. She was just about to come out when someone came in, which gave her a shock. However, when she smelled the familiar man's scent, Xin Jingxian knew who it was. Xiaoqin, what are you doing? Xin Jingxian could remember Xiaoqian's scent, which surprised even herself. Xiaoqin did not answer but squeezed into the closet directly. You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.